Call this meeting of the Hicksville Board of Education to order. Roll call.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mrs. Carrier?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Mazur?
Here.
Mr. Methvin?
Here.
And Mr. Vetter?
Here.
Do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, visitor. Eric, you said there was no four-county report due to a snow delay? Okay, thank you. Keith, superintendents and principals reports.
Right, I'll start with Kirsten's report. The third grade split. On Monday, February 7th, we began a new third grade split. Classes of 23 students are now taught in classes of 12 to 14 students in their core classes. Students were placed in classes according to their fall scores for targeted instruction. 5 30-minute skills groups are also offered 2 to 4 times per week. She didn't include that in there, but I also wanted to mention that we did that with our title teachers without hiring another teacher, so we just kind of restructured the schedule she did. The second grade gifted testing, second graders, students participated in gifted testing during the week of February 14th. A huge thanks to Aaron Montgomery and Matt Hoffman for their assistance. The third grade music program, under the direction of Emily Rodish, is scheduled for this Thursday, February 24th at 6 o'clock in the Commons. Third grade fall testing expectations PD. Tomorrow, February 22nd, second grade teachers will participate in an all-day PD led by our ESC consultant, Jane Myers. Mrs. Myers will focus on the third grade fall expectations and how to better equip our second grade students. Dr. Seuss Day, a huge thanks to the United Way of Defiance for providing volunteers from the community to read to our K-2 students on March 3rd. If you're interested in reading to our students, please contact Mrs. Kaufman at 419-438-2560. Kindergarten registration. It's time for parents to call and register your child for kindergarten screening. Please call the school office, 419-542-7475, for information and to sign up for screening time, March 10th or March 11th. Registration will take place at Hicksville schools. There will be no school for our current readiness and kindergarten students on these days because the registration is here at the school. Finally, Family Literacy Night is scheduled for March 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. The evening is entitled Super You Challenge. Fun activities and a free meal will be provided. Huge thanks to Sandy Brown, Melissa Crawford, and our title teachers. That's Kirsten's report. Any questions?
No, but I'm so glad we can do the family literacy again.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay,
Very
Mr. Altman, his report. The 8th grade is completing the Signs of Suicide program on Tuesday and Wednesday. Signs of Suicide is a prevention program that educates students about the relationship between suicide and depression. It will help encourage our students to seek help from trusted adults rather they have concerns about themselves or a friend. Our middle school teachers have completed a book study, Giving Students a Say by Myron Duick. Through the book study, the teachers learned about smarter assessments and practices that empower and engage students. On Wednesday, a group of our middle school teachers are going to follow that up by listening to Myron speak at the ESC. Our teachers are constantly working to improve their practice. Jane Myers recently started Observation Bingo to help our teachers do just that. In Observation Bingo, our teachers will be observing their colleagues to learn best practices from each other. Our 21st Century program run by Mr. Farrell has been a positive experience for our students. The students have gained experiences with Mr. Farrell's amazing 21st Century staff. They have been engaged in many activities that would not have been possible without this program, such as ice fishing and producing a song. They are also gaining enrichment in math and literacy skills while learning how to better implement the Hicksville essentials. Moving on to Mr. Slattery's report, the women's self-defense class completed its last course. A thank you to Mr. Blue for organizing this experience for our seniors. Student scheduling for the 2022-2023 school year has begun. We are working with all current 8th grade and 11th grade students. Preparation for the class of 22 commencement ceremony is going well. Keep in mind it is scheduled for Sunday, May 29th. The required ACT test for all juniors will take place on Tuesday, March 1st at HHS. Pre-registration has been completed for all students. Good luck to our winter athletes as the OHSAA tournament season has begun. Good luck to the ACES cheerleaders as they will compete at the OASSA state competition on Saturday, February 26th. The high school musical Annie will be performed at the Huber on March 4th, 5th, 6th. Senior coronation will take place on March 12th at the Huber. And the senior trip to Gatlinburg will be March 16th through the 19th. And then he also wanted me to mention that there's a Northwest State College Credit Plus information night. Learn about College Credit Plus and the opportunities that await you by earning college credit while you're in high school. That meeting is open to the public on Monday, February 28th from 6 to 7 at Northwest State in the auditorium. Any questions about the three principals' reports that I can maybe answer?
Do you have any idea how many seniors are going?
I do not. On the senior trip?
Uh-huh.
I do not.
I've heard 20 or 21.
I was thinking it was mid-20s or so,
Yeah.
in the 20 range.
Mhm.
Okay. And how many are in the class?
60s, I'm guessing.
So a third.
Third. I know, I don't like that. But
Also, I think it is of note that we can have the ACT on campus this year with that new building. I think that makes it easier for everyone involved.
mhm.
That's a great point.
Any other comments?
What was the book that the middle school teachers have done again?
Giving students a say.
Giving students a say. By Myron somebody.
Anything else? Okay, my report. We used our last snow day last Friday, or our 6th snow day last Friday, I should say. We no longer have to contact Trace for COVID. I do still meet regularly with the other superintendents in the county in regards to COVID, though. We have 2 people interested in getting their bus driving certificates and subbing for us. It takes a bit of time to complete the training, but I'm thankful they are interested. The school foundation met last week, and we're trying to plan a fundraising event. It would be a dueling piano event, and the date has not yet been confirmed, but we're hoping it can happen this spring yet. So there should be more details on that soon as we can solidify a date. And the drive flooded the other day to the point we felt it should have been closed and with approaching freezing weather. To my surprise, it went down enough the next day that we were able to plow it and open it back up, although I was told tonight that it is back across the road again. So that still continues to be an issue for us, and it's not going to be an immediate fix, but we're trying to come up with something. So, any other questions or comments for me?
So if that was our last snow day, then what happens next?
On day 7, teachers are required to report to work by a certain time. I forget exactly what that is without looking in the contract, but teachers will be required to report to work. Anything else? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Moving on to minutes and financials. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Steph. Thanks, Jen. Minutes from the organizational meeting and minutes from the regular board meeting on January 10, 2022. treasurer's consent agenda items, cash reconciliation as of January 31st, 2022, financial statements for January 2022, approve, amend official certificate of estimated resources for fiscal year 2022 as presented, total general fund resources of $15,634,833.60, and total resources for all funds of $21,469,757.24. Approve amended fiscal year 2022 permanent appropriations as presented, general fund appropriations of $11,299,662.52, and total appropriations for all funds of $14,672,748. Approve resolution number 2022-04, resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies by certifying them to the county auditor as presented. Accept the following donations: $50 from HHS class of 1957 for STEM donation in memory of L. Lynn Cleland, $312.66 from Athletic Boosters for student admission to boys basketball game, $500 from anonymous donor for scholarship in memory of Noah Carrickson, $2,000 from Athletic Boosters for baseball, softball, fieldhouse equipment, $2,000 from the family of David Manns for the athletic department. Roll call, please.
Before that, if I may.
Oh, yeah.
On
Please.
item D there, 2D, I'd like to have that total appropriations of $14,672,748. Something came in just at the end of the day on Friday, and I'd like to move that up exactly $4,000 to $14,676,748. And then also, as you will recall, we refunded the bonds a year and a half ago or so for this building, and savings were about $750,000 in total savings. And that savings is much like by refinancing your home. We go out to the market, we lowered the interest on our outstanding bonds, and that is starting to show up now as on this tax levy, or the resolution accepting amounts and rates. Our bond millage went from 5.35 mils to 4.85, so a 0.5 mil decrease. So that is something giving back to our community to help them through that process of refunding those bonds. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Mike. Sorry I cut you off there.
No, you're fine. You are fine.
And I want to say thanks, Mike, for doing all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, thank you. You're
It
welcome.
might not seem like a lot, but half a mil's a lot.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not too often our taxpayers see a decrease in their tax.
Yes, and here's one, and unfortunately, who knows if someone's going to actually see it go down, because if there was something else that was put on, or if their valuation changed, different things like that could affect it, but that half mil is in there, inside of what they pay, and there was that decrease. So, and actually, I'm not sure what the original millage was, but I think it was up around 7, maybe 7.2 on the bonds for this construction of this building. So as time goes by, that millage keeps getting lower and lower, either through increased value or refunding. So anyways, positive news.
Yeah, that's outstanding work. Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Vetter? Yes. And Mr. Methvin?
Yes. Employment of certified staff. Need a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you. Minda and Steph. Recommend to approve the following supplemental contracts for the 2021-2022 school year. Dave Blue, Mini Aces track coach. Ryan Miser, assistant basketball coach, 40%. Paul Payne, Mini Aces track coach. Heather Taylor, head junior high girls track coach. Kelly Van Horn, head junior high boys track coach. Rachel Werman, assistant softball coach. Recommend to approve the following as volunteers for the 2021-2022 school year. Josh Fries, track. Recommend to approve the revised administrative salary schedule. And roll call, please.
Okay, Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur,
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier, Mr. Vetter, and Mr. Methvin.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Employment of classified staff. Need another motion? Thanks, Eric. Second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jen. Recommend to approve Shelley Comiso as paraprofessional for 4 days per week to 5 days per week, retroactive February 7, 2022. Recommend to accept the resignation of Jennifer Bowman as bus driver effective February 11, 2022. Recommend to approve Pam Yoder as cafeteria worker from 3 hours per day to 5.75 hours per day effective February 21, 2022. Recommend to approve Rebecca Bailey as cafeteria worker effective March 1, 2022. Recommend to approve the following supplemental contracts for the 2021-2022 school year. James Egley, assistant track coach. Garrett Franz, assistant basketball coach, 25%.
Baseball.
Baseball. Thanks. Phil Handy, assistant baseball coach, 35%. Gabe Inkrot, co-archery director, assistant. Pam Payne, assistant track coach. Melissa Sanders, co-archery director, assistant. Recommend to approve the following as volunteers for the 2021-2022 school year. Lucas Yoder, baseball.
Comments on the cafeteria. As you know, Marilyn Guilford is retiring, and her last day is the 28th. So Becky Bailey, who has actually been a sub for us the last 2 years, every day, is actually taking Marilyn's spot. And then they're not replacing Becky at this time, but they gave a couple extra hours to Pam Yoder at this time. So we should see somewhat of a cost savings there. She's going to try to make that work with the current staffing that she has. So,
That's good. Good thinking.
and a special thanks to Marilyn Guilford for her years of service, and she certainly enjoys meeting with the kids down there, and she's going to miss that. But we wish her well on her retirement.
Outstanding. Roll call?
Mr. Vetter? Yes. Mrs. Carrier? Yes. Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
And Mr. Methvin.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Services and agreements. Need a motion, please?
I'll move.
Thanks, Steph.
I'll second.
Thanks, Minda. Recommended to approve a memorandum of understanding between Hicksville Education Association and Hicksville Exempted Village Schools regarding teacher evaluation guidelines. Recommended to approve an audit agreement between Hicksville Exempted Village Schools and the Auditor of State for fiscal year ending June 30, 2021. The cost of service is $19,844. Recommend to approve a service agreement with Northwest Ohio Educational Service Center per Ohio Revised Code 3313.845, This agreement will begin on July 1, 2022, and shall terminate on June 30th, 2023. The total projected cost is $572.95. Roll call, please.
Real quick, I'd like to add also, Mr. President, the audit, we've normally had an audit every year, however, it's not been a federal audit. And this year, it is, and this year I mean by the 2020-2021 fiscal year. Because if you receive more than $750,000 or actually expend more than $750,000 in federal monies, you have to have an annual federal audit. So this price is up about 14% other than what it would otherwise be, about $2,344 because of it being a federal audit. Of course, we've obviously through most of this is because of COVID-related money. So we have benefited greatly, much more than the extra cost of $2,344. But just want to let you know that that does impact the amount of time they put into the audit and obviously the cost.
Will that mean more work for you as well?
Quite often, yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's really, they just dig into more stuff. They look at things that they normally don't look at. So hopefully, if everything goes good, then, it's a little bit more work, but it's part of the job.
Okay.
Is the 21st Century Grant money, that's federal money. Will that affect it?
The 21st Century yes, that would be part of yeah. But even before that.
Oh, yeah.
And actually we're not getting that until this current fiscal year is when that kicked in. But there's between ESSER 1, 2, and 3, the lunchroom monies, with that being free lunches across the board, that's up significantly. We are getting a little over $3,000 a school day in federal lunch money. So in a month, if you have 21 days, we're getting $60,000 plus dollars. That's why also when we have these calamity days, it does hurt the lunchroom, because the cost for the most part doesn't change much. Most of it's fixed, and we lose out on that revenue. So hopefully no more of those days. But
And another reminder, since you brought that up about the lunch, that there's no news that it's going to be free next year. So if it's not, then that means people have to start paying again. So they've had 2 years they didn't have to pay, but just want them to know that the government did that, not the school.
Yeah, good
When
point.
they have to start
Good
paying
point.
again.
So do you foresee another federal grant next year?
well,
the
we
way the
have
federal money's
ongoing,
coming?
like the ARP ESSER 3, that grant was over $1 million, and the majority of it will still be there going into next year. We are spending some of it down for some things now. And also, the ESSER 2, we designed that to be about half of it in this fiscal year and half it next year. And that grant was just a little under $500,000. So it'll be next year will also be well, this year will be a federal audit. So fiscal year 21, fiscal year 22, our current year, and fiscal year 23 will probably be, and then who knows where things will go after that.
But we don't know on the lunches though, right, Mike?
No, I have not heard a thing about whether the lunches will be extended beyond this year or not. So as Mr. Countryman said, I would say at this point in time, you'd have to expect that that's not going to be extended. And if it is, then, that's good for our lunchroom and for those that use the services.
Okay, thanks for the detail. Roll call?
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier? Mr. Vetter? And Mr. Methvin?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Other business, need a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Eric. Recommend to approve the 2022-2023 school year calendar. Roll call?
Mrs. Mazur,
Yes.
Mr. Vetter? Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
And Mr. Methvin?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to old business.
I'm not sure if it's appropriate here or not, but I feel as if it is. I think Mr. Ruin still does not have an assistant.
Not yet. I'm hanging in there.
Okay.
That's good point. Any other updates on the road flooding?
No,
That
sir.
we haven't gone over, okay, all right. Any other old business? Any discussion?
The calendar, or I mean the next
The
date
next
for the next
meeting,
board
yeah.
meeting?
Yes.
And
It's scheduled
The
for the 21st, which is during spring
Spring
break.
break.
So we either need to switch it to the 14th
Or the 28th.
or the 28th.
And in all honesty, I would prefer the 14th, because that's going to be a very long spring break for some of us.
Is that going to be?
Is that
an
too
issue
early,
for you,
Mike?
I think I'll make any of those days work.
Anybody else have an issue with the 14th?
I'm good either way.
Me too.
Okay.
I should be good.
What's the matter? We'll make it work. I have to go to Cleveland that night.
Okay, so forgive me for the procedural question here.
I'm sorry.
We're going to go into executive session for items 1 and 4, so it'll actually be 2 executive sessions. No determinations will be made or decisions made out of that, so no need to carry on with the, oh. yeah.
So,
I'm sorry, Mike, real quick. I missed an item. Unannounced guests. Do you have anything?
Yeah, no.
Okay, all right, my apologies. I scrolled down too fast. So we will be going into executive session.
And Jan, did you get that the board meeting
And-
will be switched to the 14th? Okay.
3:14.
so just to clarify with Mr. Methvin, we'll have a motion to go in executive session to discuss one of the items, then we'll come back into regular session and go, another motion to immediately go into the other item, and then come out. And if I understand then there will be no further, I guess, any further activity,
Correct,
action.
no further action.
On either one?
Yeah.
Yes, so, just motion to proceed.
Okay, so,
So I'll make the motion to go in for number 1.
And I will second that motion.
okay. Thanks, Jen. And Steph?
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Okay.
So will we do the second motion now as well? Or-
I think you're supposed to come back.
Back,
So,
okay, all
yeah,
right.
so when we come back from that first executive session, then we'll do the motion over again.
Okay. So we don't need a motion to adjourn right now, do we?
No,
No.
not
All right.
until we go back.
Okay. So we'll go into executive session at, wait, is 5 after okay with everybody? Okay, 6:05.